All right, thank you, Beth. So my name is Melissa Cotton. I'm a field specialist in nutrition and health education for the University of Missouri Extension. I cover Jackson and Clay County. And just a little bit about MU Extension, we are part of the land grant system. So it's our duty as Extension employees to carry out the research that occurs at the University of Missouri and all of the University of Missouri system. So that includes UMKC, UMSL, and Missouri S&T. We carry out the research that occurs there and other places to all of the citizens of Missouri. And as a specialist in nutrition and health, I teach different health-related classes in community settings. So I do cooking classes, exercise classes, food preservation, and fall prevention classes. And that's what we are here to talk about today, tips for fall prevention. So I want to kind of get us thinking about this topic and specifically what makes people fall. Okay, so there's several things that can cause falls to occur. Maybe you've had an experience where you have fallen, or someone you know, or a loved one has, and be thinking about that. You feel free to enter them in the chat just to kind of get that conversation going. But I'm going to show some on the next slide as well. Maybe if I can work it. Okay, there we go. So the first one here, we have that cute pup there on the screen. We love pets. Pets are so good for our mental health, emotional health, even our physical health if we're out walking our pet. I saw someone in my neighborhood walking their cat recently, and I thought that was pretty cool. So it gets us active. But on the other side, sometimes our pets can get kind of under our feet and they can cause a fall. So it's just something we want to be mindful of. Vision, changes in vision, that type of thing. Letting our prescriptions go too long without getting those eyes checked can certainly be a cause. Blood pressure can definitely be an issue for people. Then on the lower part of the slide, we see someone has fallen off a ladder. So there are sometimes tasks around the house that maybe we need to retire from. So getting up and changing the light bulbs, or getting up outside and cleaning out the gutters. It may be time for us to allow someone else to do that for us. Also, we have it looks like someone's about to trip over a cord. So if we think about our homes, any areas with clutter, cords, maybe too much furniture or furniture in an awkward place, throw rugs, those types of things. And then finally, prescriptions. Prescriptions can sometimes affect our balance or our equilibrium and be a cause for falls as well. So this is not an exhaustive list, but these things are going to come back up as we go through. So although falling is not a normal part of aging, and I'm going to repeat that, falling is not a normal part of the aging process. It is a major health crisis, not only for Missouri, but nationally. However, Missouri is doing especially poor when it comes to falls. We are actually 31% over the national rate for injuries caused from a fall. Okay, and so we have a big area for improvement here in Missouri, but nationally too, to first of all, prevent falls from occurring, and also, you know, those injuries, how can we prevent some of those serious injuries from happening as well? So lots of room to work here, and the University of Missouri Extension has identified this as a concern in our state. So we have a number of programs to address falls and fall prevention, and many other organizations are working on this as well. So according to the CDC, 1 out of 4 adults falls every year, specifically older adults, so meaning 65 and older. 1 out of 4 falls every year. So that results in about 36 million falls annually, 7 million injuries. And of those 7 million, 3 million usually require some type of visit to the ER. And this creates a very large cost to our seniors and to the healthcare system at large. So right now it's about a $50 billion cost, and this is projected to double by the year 2030. So $100 billion by 2030, which, you know, isn't that far off when you think about it. So a very big burden that we need to work on. Falls are common, even in our younger and middle-aged, you know, people. Every year, 1 in 10 of those do experience a fall. Unfortunately, the risk of those falls resulting in a serious injury increases with age. But even when there is no injury, you know, even when physically we're fine, thankfully nothing bad happened, it doesn't necessarily mean that life just goes on as it was before for everyone. Sometimes a fall can result in fear entering a person's life. So, maybe we have a fall and all of a sudden this fear is there. We're afraid we're going to fall again. And this starts to impact our behavior. So we may start limiting our activities. We don't go out to social outings. We maybe decide, oh, I'm afraid to exercise or to go out with my friends. And so we kind of pull in. We're trying to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe. And we think the way to do that is by doing less. And sometimes this fear, for certain people, it's really big, and it does make us make all those changes to our lives. For others, you may talk to them and they have no fear of falling. So definitely this varies throughout the population. And sometimes that fear, it builds very slowly and gradually, almost to the point where one day you wake up and you kind of reflect and think, wow, I've become so fearful. I didn't even notice, but I've changed all these behaviors. And other people, that fear kind of hits all at once, and usually it is because a fall has occurred. So it's just interesting to see how this looks for different people, but something we want to be aware of. Unfortunately, when that fear impacts our behavior and we start to kind of pull in and stop doing, this makes our muscles weaker, it makes our bones more brittle, and this actually increases our risk of falling. So it's kind of ironic. The things that we do to keep ourselves safe are actually what really hurt us in the end. So when do falls occur? The majority of falls occur during periods of transition. So think about, when you're sitting down to the dining room table, or when you're getting up from the table, or going up and down the stairs, getting in and out of your car, getting in and out of your tub or your shower, rising up from a chair or toilet seat. Another one too, getting up out of bed in the middle of the night, maybe to use the restroom. These are times where falls are common, those periods of transition. And so, we're going to work on maybe slowing down when we get up to go somewhere, taking a little bit more time, because we don't want to stop doing, we want to keep doing. We just might have to think about how we do things a little bit differently. So what contributes to falls? There are many factors, but one really important one that I want to highlight is something called sarcopenia. This is a very slow, gradual loss of muscle mass that we experience naturally with age. So sarcopenia is a natural part of aging, but there are a number of things that we can do to slow this down or to reverse it. But starting out actually about the age of 30, we naturally start to have a decline in muscle mass, okay? And this muscle mass loss isn't necessarily obvious. I can't look in the mirror and say, oh yeah, I think I'm experiencing sarcopenia. It's very slow, but it does add up over time. And just because we're losing muscle mass doesn't mean our body size changes. Often that muscle is replaced by fat tissue. And so from the outside, we may look very much the same, but inside we have a lot less lean muscle. And so people who are not physically active, this tends to occur a lot faster and more aggressively, but in some degree, it does happen to everyone. Okay, so next slide here is showing a very similar, what I just said. You see at about 25 years, that leg on the far left of the screen, this about 25 is where we see our peak level of lean muscle mass, okay? Then as we turn 30 and beyond, that slowly decreases. From about 30 to 70, we can experience a loss of 3 to 8% every decade. And then once we hit 70, that decline becomes a little sharper. It turns to more of like 15% every decade after the age of 70. Again, there are things that we can do to slow down this process or to stop it from happening completely. And having lean muscle mass is really important for maintaining our balance and avoiding falls. So it is something that we want to work to mitigate in our life. Lean body mass, specifically in our skeletal muscle, serves as the main reservoir or storage place for amino acids. So when our body needs protein and we're not meeting that through our diet, so maybe we're not getting enough protein in, and our body goes through some type of stress, whether it be metabolic stress, aging, chronic disease, and some type of injury that we have, our body will dip into this reservoir or storage and use those amino acids. Amino acids are used to help create cells, for our muscles to recover and to grow stronger. And so it'll dip into that reservoir to help with whatever's going on in the body. And so over time, if it's having to dip in there a lot, we can deplete that storage of amino acids, and we start to see a breakdown of muscle in our body. There are a lot of negative impacts for this loss of lean body mass that results from sarcopenia. So when this happens, we have an increased risk of illness and infection, as well as an increased risk of falls and fractures, a loss of physical strength and energy, yes, and loss of independence. Okay, so many negative things can happen alongside this sarcopenia. So honestly, the slides up to this point have been pretty gloom and doom, and I'm sorry about that. But this is the part where I really like things change a little bit, because now we're going to talk about what can I do to control this, to help prevent this from happening, because we do have some control. Okay, so I mentioned, staying physically active, getting adequate protein sources in your diet. That's going to help a lot. But there are a few other things as well. So remember earlier, I told you about 1 in 4 older adults fall every year. And if you were looking at the screen, you might have seen that it said, and less than half of those tell their doctor. So the first bullet here of what we can do to prevent falls is talk to our doctor. And really, the classes I teach, the people I come in contact with, there's a holdup here. We're afraid to tell our doctors. We think, if I tell my doctor I fell, they're going to take away my car keys, or they're going to put me in a home and I'm going to lose my independence. And I understand, I can make sense of why a person would feel that way. But in most cases, your healthcare provider is going to do whatever they can to keep you independent. Okay, they can screen older adults to understand what their fall risk is. Okay, they can look at the risk factors that you have. They know your health history, and they can screen you and tell you, okay, this is maybe the areas we need. These are the areas we need to work on. This is your risk now, but we can improve it. They can also help you review and manage your medications. So some medications, like I said, they do impact our balance and equilibrium. Is there a change that can be made? Possibly that's something that only your doctor is going to be able to help you with. Often here in Missouri, we don't get enough vitamin D. That's really important for our bone, muscle, and nerve health. And your doctor can let you know if that's something that you need to start supplementing. Okay, and so these are things that we want to talk to our doctor about. If you do experience a fall, the sooner you talk to your doctor about that, the better, because you're going to remember more about the circumstance that led to that fall, closer to the time that it occurred. Okay, so you want to kind of talk with them soon and say, okay, this is what happened. This is how I was feeling that day. Because ultimately your doctor is going to be able to figure out, hopefully, what the root cause is. Why did you fall? What was the underlying issue? Maybe it was because you haven't been exercising. Maybe it was the new medication you started. Maybe it's because you were not hydrated enough. And so this can be such a helpful conversation. Definitely encourage that to happen if you've experienced a fall, and even if you're not and you're just trying to prevent it. The next one is have your eyes checked. We need to be doing this about 1 time a year to be sure we've updated our glasses or contacts if that's something that we need to do. Now, if you have bifocals or progressive lenses, especially if this is new, I want you to really take some time to get used to that and how that affects your vision in different settings before you just I got my glasses, I'm going to go out for a walk. I wouldn't suggest that. Really get to know those glasses and be comfortable in them. Both progressive and bifocals, they can cause objects to either appear closer than they are or further away. So it affects our depth perception. And this can put us at an increased risk for falls. So this might be something that you chat with your eye doctor about, or again, take that time to really feel comfortable with whatever lenses that you're using. And if in, really serious cases, you may have a separate pair of lenses for your exercise versus the rest of your daily life, okay, to just help with that depth perception. I don't have a bullet for this on the screen, but it kind of goes along with getting your vision checked, and just making this part of your yearly schedule is also getting your hearing checked. When we have inner ear issues, hearing issues, if you think about if you've ever been to the pool and you get water in your ear, it just really throws you off. It's amazing how much that can affect how you feel. So we also want to make sure our hearing is where it needs to be if we need to make any changes in that area, as that can put us at risk for fall as well. The next one here, there we go. Make your home safer. We can do this in a number of ways. So I would encourage you on a regular basis to just scan your home, look for areas that you could improve upon. Okay, so it could be like getting rid of the clutter. You got a lot of clutter, things sitting around on the floor. Maybe we can get rid of some of that. It could be those cords or those throw rugs, maybe a rearranging of furniture, that type of thing. Also adding grab bars in and outside of your tub or shower, next to the toilet, bars on both sides as you go up and down the stairs. These are things that we want to be thinking about. Lighting is another major issue. And I think particularly in older homes, you may have areas of your home that are not as well lit. This could be like you have light at the top of the stairs, but not at the bottom, or you don't have a light when you take that step up to come into the house, or maybe even right outside of the house. So just be thinking about this. Sometimes you can add some really simple lights, like those lights that you kind of push and they turn on, or you could get something installed. But particularly in those tricky areas, like the stairs is a major one, any step up or down, you want to make sure that's well lit so that you're seeing that properly, and you can prevent a fall. Okay, I've lost my mouse over here. I'm sorry. The final bullet here is to do strength and balance exercises. And this is highlighted in bold because this is really where we're going to spend the majority of our time today as we move forward in the conversation. So we can actually hold that sarcopenia, that loss of muscle mass, or improve it, reverse it by doing strength and balance exercises. So let's talk a little bit about benefits of strength training. As we age and with reduced activity levels, we lose that muscle mass. This is going to help us build it back. I feel very passionate about strength training, and this is something that's new to me in my own life. It's like maybe the last few years I've started strength training, and I teach strength training classes in community settings quite often with adults 50 and over. So I see some of these benefits on a daily basis in those that I teach and in my own life. So one benefit is it improves our confidence in performing daily tasks. So, going out for a walk or attending that social event, cleaning our home, even taking a shower, we feel a lot more confident because we're strong. That exercise helps us to feel strong. So that's such an important result of strength training. It also strengthens our muscles, of course, and it stimulates that bone growth, but it can lower our blood sugar and help us to manage weight. It improves our balance and our posture, reduces stress and pain in joints, improves our sleep. I hear about sleep issues a lot, and exercise is a really good way to improve your quality of sleep. And then the last one is lifts depression. It can also help with anxiety, and it is just a natural way to lift your mood. So looking at that screen, as you sit here and listen, think about the bullet points that mean the most to you, that resonate with you, and let that be your why. If strength training is something that you've been considering, let that be your why. And if you need to write that on a Post-it on your fridge or your mirror, like, hey, I'm going to have better sleep if I get my exercise in. I'm going to have more confidence. Write that down where you can see it. Sometimes that can really help us to feel motivated and take that next step to getting our exercise completed. Now, if strength training is new to you, or if you are starting to adopt any new type of exercise, it's always a good idea to consider chatting with your doctor. So especially if you have a chronic condition or you're over the age of 40, or if you haven't been very active recently, just talk to your doctor. Just say, hey, I'm thinking about starting this exercise program, or I'm thinking about doing strength training. Is that okay? Would you advise that for me? Now, on the other hand, a lot of us go to the doctor and we hear our doctor say, I'd really like you to exercise. I'd really like you to strength train or walk. So we may already feel like we're in the clear, but if you have any concern at all, just to alleviate that concern or to eliminate that barrier, just chat with your doctor about it, and then you can move on to the next step. So some strength training exercises some examples of them, you see your list on the screen here. But I just want to say that resistance training, which is the same thing as strength training, it doesn't necessarily have to happen in the gym. It doesn't mean that you are going to have to go out and buy all this equipment or spend a lot of money. It's actually one of those things that once you kind of figure out what to do, you can kind of do it anywhere. And you can use your body weight for certain exercises, like if you think of push-ups or squats or lunges, your body weight is the resistance. Other classes will incorporate like hand weights or ankle weights, even bands or something like that to create additional resistance. But there's no necessarily wrong way to go. So I just want to say that, you might not have to buy anything to get started. When you do strength training, it is important to feel some muscle fatigue at the end of exercise. And this just allows you to kind of know, hey, this exercise is working for me. I'm doing something right because I can sure feel it. But on the other hand, we don't want to feel pain necessarily, like a shooting pain or anything like that. That is not a good sign. Something's not right. Maybe you're not doing the exercise properly or you have an issue going on. With exercise, we always hear that saying there's no pain, no gain. That's not exactly true in this scenario, or as we become into that category of older adult. We don't want pain. We want sustainable exercise. So yes, we may feel a little uncomfortable because exercise does make our heart beat faster. We're breathing faster. We're pushing ourselves, but we should not feel pain. So, if that occurs, just kind of maybe don't exert yourself as much, or perhaps don't do that exercise today and come back to it another time. Here in a moment, we're going to highlight a couple of exercises that I think are a really good starting place. And, if you only take two things away from this, these exercises would be good to start with. The first one is called wide leg squats, and then I'm going to show you glute extensions. So wide leg squat, you can see this girl, she is sitting in her chair, and ideally your legs would be wider than shoulder width apart, toes facing forward. And you start from a seated position. And what happens is you push up through your heels to a standing position. And you want to think about really good posture in your upper back. You see her when she's seated, she's leaning forward slightly, but sometimes we can lean too far forward and put ourselves in an unsafe position. You'll notice that her arms are crossed, and yes, you can definitely do that, but you may think, oh boy, I can't get up out of my chair without using my hands to push myself up. That's okay. You can use those arm rests, or maybe a table in front of you or something like that, or pushing up against your legs or the seat of the chair. That's okay. If that's where you are now, start there. And over time, if you keep doing this and making this part of your weekly routine, you're going to be able to work up to hopefully being able to do that without the help of that pushing up with your arms. So again, you're sitting on a chair with your feet shoulder width apart. Your toes are slightly in front of your knees. You can cross your arms, or you can use those arms to push up. You're going to lean forward slightly and rise to a standing position, but make sure as you do this that you keep those knees pressed out, like you're not letting your knees dip in towards each other. And so you'd stand all the way up, you'd kind of pause, and then you'd slowly lower yourself back down. A lot of times when I see people like at the gym or first getting to do like squats, seated wide leg squats, they'll go really fast, really fast. And actually this makes it easier for you. We want to go slow. It's called time under tension. The longer we take specifically to return to our chair, the more time our muscles are working. And that's a good thing. We want to go a little bit slower. It may be very hard to go slow at first. So you just have to do what you can. And again, the more you do this, the better off you are, and the better you'll get at it. So, if 2 is all that you can do right now, start with 2, maybe do 2 in the morning and 2 before bed every other day. And eventually you'll be at 3 or 4. And then in my classes that I teach, we work up to doing 2 sets of 10 repetitions. Okay, so we do 10, then we rest for about 30 seconds to a minute, and we do 10 more. This is such a great exercise because how often during our day do we do this exact moment? Anytime we get up, movement. Anytime we get up out of the chair, off the toilet, off our bed, out of the car, we're doing this. So we got to practice it and make it a regular activity so we can continue to do it as we age. So this exercise works those front muscles in your upper legs as well as your bottom and your lower back. The next one is called glute extension. So you're standing behind your chair, you're standing up nice and tall. You could also do this at like the kitchen counter or even by pressing your hands up against the wall. If you're a taller person, that might be helpful, but something to hold on to, grab onto if your balance is not great or you have any concern. Okay, and so for this one, you start with your feet about shoulder width apart, standing up nice and tall, and one foot's going to move and one foot is going to stay still. But you've got a slight bend in that knee of the leg that's staying stationary, and you're going to act as if you have mud on your shoe, and it's like you're wiping that mud off. But your foot's now behind you. You tap your toe, and then you come back to the starting position, and then you wipe the mud off again. Tap your toe. Come back to the starting position, and then you would switch to the other side. So this is strengthening your glutes or your bottom, your thighs, and your hips. And this is another great one that you can do. Even like while you're brushing your teeth maybe, or doing the dishes, you got that counter to hold on to, you could do a few of these while you're getting ready. Okay, so some tips to remember anytime you're doing exercise. Definitely strength training, even stretching, even walking. You want to start off with a warm up. And the way that you can do this is take like 5 minutes, do a slow walk, maybe move, get a little faster as you go. 5 to 10 minutes is all it takes to warm your body up and get it ready for exercise. Why do you do this? It helps to prevent injury. And it also just kind of gets your brain and your body ready to do exercise. And I find that when I do the warm up, I have a much better workout than when I just go right to it. So really making sure you do that warm up beforehand. Then with strength training, choose a weight or whatever resistance that you're using heavy enough to tire your muscles after 12 to 15 repetitions. The way I talk about it in the classes I teach. Remember, I said we do 2 sets of 10 repetitions. I tell my participants, if you get to repetition number 10 and you feel like you could do 4 or 5 more, then you are not lifting a heavy enough weight. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't want to lift too much weight, right? But if you get to 10, easy peasy, you're not lifting enough weight. We got to challenge those muscles more if you want to continue to have progress. Okay, so on the other hand, if you're trying to do 10 repetitions and you get to 7 or 8 and you feel like you can't do any more, then you're probably lifting too heavy of a weight. Okay, so it takes a trial and error. And eventually, say you're doing bicep curls, right? And you've been using 2-pounders and you've been doing this for a few weeks and you're starting to see that, yeah, I could do more than 2 sets of 10. I could do 2 sets of 20. That's going to happen over time. Our muscles are adjusting, they're getting stronger. So that means we need to go up on weight. So you're constantly adjusting to continue to challenge your muscles. So eventually, a few months down the road, you might be doing 5-pounders on each side. So just keep challenging. That's going to help you progress. All right. So the other important area, so we talked about strength training, our balance. This is something that we want to work on improving as we age because the body systems that help us maintain our balance, vision, our hearing, our leg muscles and joints, unfortunately, they tend to break down as we get older. And so to keep our balance in a good spot and to keep it improving or hold it where it is, we can do some exercises to help to maintain this. And so I'm going to give a couple of examples from the Tai Chi for arthritis and fall prevention classes that I teach. If you have heard of Tai Chi or that's available where you live, this is a really good program to help you work on it to improve your balance. And so one of them here, it's number 7, and it says hip 1. That's where I'm going to start. You can see he's standing with feet shoulder width apart, and his arms are raised about shoulder height. And as he lowers his arms, he's tapping his heel in front of him. And then as he brings those arms back up, he's tapping his toe behind. So if you try that, you will quickly see you're balancing on one foot. If you need to stop in the middle, that's okay too. And eventually you can hopefully progress to that foot going from heel in front of you to toe behind you. The next one, it's as if you are pushing a wall on one side of your body and tapping your toe out to the opposite side. So that's kind of, you're having to balance on one leg for a short period of time. And then finally, this one, you can put your hands on your hips or hold something in front of you, but essentially one foot is staying still. The other foot, you're tapping heel, toe, and then you'd switch to the other side. And then you would come back and you would tap the outside of your shoe and the inside of your shoe, the outside of your shoe, inside of your shoe. So those are just some simple exercises that you can do to improve your strength. And then these help with balance. Now, I do want to say that when we think about strength and balance, flexibility is also very important. Those 3 things are very much related. And so if you start strength training, you're going to probably notice that your balance improves. If you start stretching more, you're probably going to notice that your balance improves because they're very tightly related. And so by improving one, the others will improve slightly as well. To get the best results, we want to include exercises that help all 3 of those areas. So we want to be getting some strength training. We want to be getting some balance exercises like Tai Chi, and then we want to be getting some stretching in as well. So the good news here is that regular strength and balance training can help us not only prevent, but reverse those losses related to inactivity and to sarcopenia, which is that slow and gradual lean muscle mass loss. So this should tell you, you have control, right? You have some control over the situation. Falls can be prevented. We can age with confidence and feeling good about ourselves and preventing falls. So it is our responsibility, though. We do have to kind of put the work in, but we have some control, and that feels empowering. Now, when will you see the results? You may think, oh man, all this exercise, it's feeling overwhelming. Can I do it? The good news is it doesn't really take that long to start to see results. You don't have to spend hours in the gym or hours exercising and lifting weights to see results. Really, it takes about 2 to 3 30-minute sessions, maybe even 20-minute sessions. If 3 days is a lot to you, I'd start with 2. So commit to 2 days a week of doing strength training exercises. This can make a huge impact on your life. So it's not like you have to go and be at the gym for an hour and a half. Honestly, I think that's counterproductive for most people. 20 to 30 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week for strength training. Now, this would be in addition to your cardiovascular exercise. Cardiovascular, also known as endurance or aerobic. That's like walking, biking, running, those types of exercises that get your heart rate up. The recommendation there is 150 minutes of exercise a week. So those 2 to 3 30-minute sessions of strength training would be in addition. And you may think, oh, that is so much. I'm very overwhelmed. But again, it all goes back to starting where we are. Maybe you feel like I can do 5 minutes. Is it even worth it? Yes. Start doing 5 minutes and start being consistent about it. That's the key. Be consistent. Okay. Eventually, if you put the work in, you're going to be able to do 6 and then 7 and then 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 20 to 30 minutes. It'll take some time and commitment, but you can get there. We have to be positive about this. We start where we are, and we just keep doing it, and it's going to pay off. Okay, so we have our 2 to 3 20-minute sessions, and then our 150 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. Let's go on to the next slide here. Exercise can be overwhelming, right? And all the different kinds that you need and all those things. Sometimes the best way, if this is an area you don't have a lot of experience in, or if it's been a little bit, taking a class, I highly encourage it, whether it's with MU Extension or any, your local gym, the senior center, find something. There are many resources out there. Even YouTube has a plethora of exercise resources that you could look up and get started. I do want to highlight a few that we teach with MU Extension. And actually, we do have a fourth one. I didn't put it up there because it's not directly impacting fall prevention, but it's a walking class called Walk with Ease. But these three here do directly help. They're evidence-based, meaning they have been proven through research to help prevent falls or lower our risk. Okay, so the first one here is Stay Strong, Stay Healthy. And we're gonna switch screens for a second, and Beth's gonna play a short video for us.
At 65, Lisa Camp never imagined she'd be training in a gym.
I would like to be able to climb stairs more easily without getting so winded.
Good job. Keep pushing, keep pushing.
But she isn't the only baby boomer who's noticed they're slowing down.
I still do several things, I just can't do them as fast.
All right, rest.
According to the CDC, less than 10% of Americans 65 and up get the recommended amount of physical activity. It's why this group teamed up with researchers from the University of Missouri School of Medicine, the Department of Nutrition and Exercise Physiology, and MU Extension for a study to see whether strength training can really make a difference for older adults. After initial testing, participants spent 8 weeks either sedentary, walking, or taking part in an exercise program called Stay Strong, Stay Healthy.
We found that the Stay Strong, Stay Healthy participants improved significantly in their strength, in their balance, and in their sleep quality.
Offered in 5 states, Stay Strong, Stay Healthy is an instructor-led course which uses simple exercises like squats and bicep curls to improve strength. Sit to Stand is an exercise that measures leg strength and endurance. Participants improve their scores by nearly 20%. In the back scratch test, which measures shoulder flexibility, their scores improve by 35%.
All those things are related to seniors maintaining independence and reducing the risk for falls and reducing healthcare costs.
Participants say they've noticed a difference even in just 8 weeks.
I can see that there's not only a difference in attitude, but a difference in just overall feeling better about myself.
Proving it's never too late to start. From the University of Missouri, I'm Teresa Snow.
As the video shared, there we go. Stay Strong, Stay Healthy is an 8-week program. It's usually set up to you exercise with a trained instructor 2 times a week. And we have these available in person and online around the state. And so we're working mainly on improving strength, but we do have a flexibility component. And then this helps improve our balance as well. So this is a great program you can check out. If you are interested, our website is extension.missouri.edu. You can go there, search Stay Strong, Stay Healthy, and you'll see a list of events around the state of Missouri. And you'll see probably one of mine. I have a class coming up online starting July 10th. So another program I want to talk about is called A Matter of Balance. This program, it does include some very light exercises, but I almost like stretches, but the program is not advertised as an exercise class. The main purpose of this program is to work with that fear that we might have around falling, to decrease that fear and increase our activity levels, both by, activity levels by doing more exercise, but also making sure we're getting out and we're seeing our friends and we're going to the movies or doing those things that bring us joy. So that class is largely discussion based, but we do include some light exercises as well. And this too is offered around Missouri from MU Extension, but many organizations outside of MU Extension offer this program as well. So something you can look for in your area. And then finally, Tai Chi for arthritis and falls prevention is another really fun program. What I like about this class is it exercises your body for sure, but it also is a really good exercise for your mind because there's a lot of coordination involved in thinking about the move that comes next. So this is another way that you can help to improve your balance and get some pain relief as well, and keep that mind exercising too. So this is the kind of the slide I'll leave you with for now. I have a separate evaluation. If you want to fill it out for me, you just hold the phone, and capture that QR code. And I also want to take this time to answer any questions we may have. And while you're looking, Beth is going to email you a handout, and on the handout, it does have information about those 3 programs I just highlighted, as well as a contact information if you'd like to reach out to anyone with interest in one of those programs.
We don't have any questions in the chat right now, but we're such a small group that if you've got a question, if you want to just unmute yourself and ask, we can go that route.
And I'm going to forward my slide to my contact information while we give everyone the opportunity to ask questions. We might not have any. Well, if you think of some later, feel free to reach out to me by phone or email.
I have one.
Go ahead.
The 3 important things were strength training and, I'm sorry, tell me, what were the 3 important things? Strength training.
She wants to know what, besides strength training, the other 2 important things were.
Balance and flexibility. So, starting with 1, say strength training, you're going to start with 1, that's going to help in the other 2 areas, but ideally we are going to be working to improve all 3 of those. So strength training, doing some balance work, and then flexibility. And by flexibility, I mean stretching, like before or after exercise. Yoga improves our flexibility, that type of thing.
Thank you.
Does that help? Yeah, good.
Any other questions? All right, well, seeing no other questions, thank you everybody for coming, and thank you, Melissa, for the information today. I learned a lot, and I probably don't do as much strength training as I should.
That's okay. We'll all start today and we'll do better.
But I will email out the handout as well as the link to the survey. It's also in chat. And thank you everybody for coming, and have a great evening.
Thank you.